Shalom. During this season, as we approach the High Holy Days and the most sacred season of the Jewish year, it's worth taking a moment to reflect on some of the key elements of the holiday and what they mean not for antiquity but for our own lives now. One of the central images that Elul and Rosh Hashanah raise for us is the issue of birth and rebirth and renewal. In fact, both stories read from the Torah on Rosh Hashanah are stories about a new generation, of the birth of Yishmael to Hagar, of the birth of Isaac to Sarah, of the tension between the wives and the children, and then the next day of the Akedah, of the sacrifice of Isaac. Why is Rosh Hashanah, which is the birthday of the world, so focused on birth? I think it's because life is as frail as one generation connecting to the next. In the same way that walking is a series of coordinated falling down, you lift up one foot, you lose your balance, you put down the other foot in time so that you don't fall over, and if you do that long enough, that gradual falling on each side constitutes walking and moving forward. Life, with that same combination of fragility and resilience, offers one generation risking everything to create the next generation, which then carries it to the generation beyond. And so acknowledging both our fragility and our determination to pass along something of value, that becomes what it means to celebrate renewal, what it means to be part of this ancient and glorious pageant in which the link between the generation is what carries the whole enterprise forward. So that Judaism offers not only to Jews but to the world a model of renewal and a model of new beginnings. Its strength not by imposition but by reinvention, in which we take the resources we've been given by those who've loved us and who came before us, we look at the needs of our own time, and then we reconfigure it and reenact it so that it speaks to us today and hopefully to our children as well. And what are those core values? We speak about Malchuyot, of God's sovereignty, which means that our fundamental intuition is that the world is one, that the world ought to reflect an ethical pull of justice, and that there is something reliable about the world we find ourselves in. In addition to Malchuyot Zichronot, memory, we think back to the past that we've inherited, and we trust that that past is full of meaning that can enlighten our own life and give us tools to live life at a higher level. And then finally, shofarot, the blowing of the shofar, which is for us a herald of redemption, the reminder that however rich our past, however unified and coherent the world we find ourselves in, there's still much to be done. There are people who suffer, there are people who hurt, there's loneliness and sickness and pain and injustice, and it's our duty to sound the call that mobilizes ourselves and each other to renew that struggle. As we turn the corner in Elul towards Rosh Hashanah, I bless each of us that we find the strength in our memories to be able to unify our resources in the present and to be able to address them and to mobilize them to create a tomorrow that's worthy, not only for us, not only for our tradition, but most importantly of all, for each other's children. Shalom and Shana Tova.